There's something draining your energy, your decision-making ability, your productivity, and most importantly, your money. And the most astonishing thing is that almost no one notices it happening. It's silent, subtle, and therefore extremely dangerous. Because when you finally see the problem, it has already consumed years of your life and destroyed opportunities that could have completely changed your financial future. But today, I'm going to expose this clearly, directly, and brutally. And some parts might be uncomfortable to hear, but the truth is, you may be sabotaging yourself every day without realizing it. And if you continue to ignore this, it'll be very difficult, almost impossible, to truly become wealthy. But if you understand and correct it now, you can completely change how you evolve financially in the coming months. So pay attention. The truth is, there's an invisible habit that keeps millions of people stuck in the same place. Financial procrastination? Not common, everyday procrastination, but the kind that happens specifically when you need to make decisions about money. It's that voice that says, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Leave it for next month. It's not that urgent. And you don't even realize it. But each small delay creates an avalanche of consequences. When you avoid facing your financial reality, you start missing small opportunities, then medium ones, and finally gigantic ones. And while this is happening, you convince yourself that the problem is bad luck. The economy, the government, your salary, everything except your own inaction. People think poverty is caused only by a lack of money. But poverty is, first and foremost, a lack of habit. And the most expensive habit in the world is putting everything off. You just don't realize this because the cost of procrastination doesn't come immediately, it comes in the future when you've already forgotten that you were responsible for creating your own pain. When you delay building a reserve, you don't feel anything that day. When you don't open an investment account, nothing seems to change. When you ignore a small debt thinking you can manage, it doesn't hurt. But the bill always comes due and it never comes alone. It comes multiplied. The point is simple, yet profound. Those who procrastinate with money pay interest in the future. Those who act with money, however, receive interest from the future. But most people live as if they have infinite time. But they don't do it. And they think that doing nothing doesn't cause any harm. But it does. And it causes a lot. The truth is that every ignored decision, every postponed choice, every month spent without correcting your financial life creates an emotional hole that keeps growing. And the bigger that hole grows, the heavier the act of trying to get out of it becomes. And that's why so many people give up before they even start. They feel defeated because they don't realize it was never about, think that next month it will be easier to save money. That next year everything will stabilize. That at some magical moment life will become more organized. But that ideal moment never arrives. And then you remain trapped in the same routine, complaining about the same lack of money, reliving the same problems, like an infinite loop that seems impossible to escape. And I know you might identify with this, because most people feel exactly this difficulty. They even know what they need to do. Moneyet was about behavior. Money is just a consequence. And there's something even more dangerous. Financial procrastination creates the illusion that you're surviving. It seems like everything is under control. It seems like you're managing, but no. You're just putting out fires, always living one step behind. You pay bills, resolve crises, manage delays. But you never build anything. This is the cycle that keeps millions of people trapped in emotional and financial poverty. It's not because they don't know how to make money. It's because they don't control their own behavior. And there's a very strong psychological reason for this. Whenever you need to make an important financial decision, your brain goes on the defensive. It prefers to avoid immediate discomfort, even if it costs 1,000 times more in the future. That's why you feel enormous discomfort when you need to look at bank statements, review expenses, face debts, or plan investments. Your mind protects itself by creating a false sense of tiredness, laziness, or this isn't urgent right now. and you believe it. And when you realize it, you've lost another month, and then another, and another. And then you look at people who have managed to build wealth and you think they had advantages, opportunities, help, luck, financial education, a wealthy family. Any explanation that lightens the weight of the truth. They did what you postponed. While you were thinking they were while you believed that it wasn't the ideal time, they were deciding. While you were negotiating with your own mind, they simply went there and did it. That's it. The difference between those who get rich and those who remain in financial trouble is often not in knowledge, but in the speed of action. And here's the most important point of this entire video. You will never get rich while you keep waiting to feel like it, because desire doesn't build wealth. Habit builds it. Consistency builds it. Difficult decisions builds it. Doing things even without being motivated builds it. Wealth is a consequence of emotional discipline, not momentary inspiration. Those who wait for inspiration accumulate dreams. Those who act without inspiration accumulate assets. And maybe now you're thinking, okay, I understand. But where do I start? And the answer is simpler than you imagine. You start with the first step you've been putting off for months. Maybe it's opening an investment account. Maybe it's organizing your budget. Maybe it's paying off a debt you've been avoiding looking at. Maybe it's creating your emergency fund. Maybe it's reviewing your spending habits. You know exactly what the first step is, and precisely because you know, you avoided. But it's this step that changes absolutely everything, and there's a phenomenon that almost no one talks about. When you break through financial procrastination, even just once, even on something simple, you create a mental breakthrough. It's as if your brain realizes that what seemed gigantic was, in fact, perfectly controllable. And from then on, the next steps become 10 times easier. And the more you act, the more you want to act. Movement creates motivation, not the other way around. You only regain control of your life when you decide to do it now and not tomorrow. And I want you to reflect on something serious. How much money have you lost by postponing decisions? How much time have you wasted waiting for the perfect moment? How many opportunities passed you by while you convinced yourself that you weren't ready? How many times have you suffered problems that could have been avoided if you had taken action sooner? And most importantly, how long will you allow this invisible habit to control your life? The truth is, there's a stronger, more disciplined, and wealthier version of you trying to emerge. But it will never appear as long as you remain stuck in the same emotional routine. Life changes when you change. Money appears when you take action. Opportunities arise when you are prepared to receive them. And wealth arrives when you break the cycle of procrastination. If you've heard all this so far, it means there's a part of you yearning for change. Maybe you don't know where to start, but you know you don't want to keep living like this. And that's exactly why I want you to leave a comment below telling me which financial step you've been putting off the most. Don't be ashamed. Everyone starts somewhere. And just by writing this, you're already making a commitment to yourself. And while you're at it, don't forget to like this video because it helps this content reach more people who are trapped in the same cycle and don't even realize it. And of course, if you want to keep receiving videos like this that show you what really matters and not what the system wants you to believe, subscribe to the channel now. We're building a community of people who have decided to take control of their own financial lives and not just survive. Because ultimately, the truth is simple. You're not trapped because you lack money. You're trapped because you lack decision. From the moment you decide to act, everything starts to fall into place. Doors open. Opportunities appear. Life changes. And the question remains, how long will you keep waiting?